Today we are going to talk about wing foiling versus parawing. Which one is better? Let's find out. Thanks so much for joining us on this new YouTube channel. My name is Gwen and today we are going to talk about wing foiling versus the parawing. The parawing is the latest sport that a lot of people are getting into. Personally, I love to do both, but not in every situation. So I'm going to talk about the differences. And now that's a topic that can be very personal. Some people might be all about the parawing, or some people can be all about the wing. I love both. So I think I'm in a pretty good situation to compare in a most fair way and really highlight when the wing is best and when the parawing is best. All of the gear that I use in my writing, in my videos is available at wingfoilprocenter.com. If you find value in my videos, I appreciate you checking it out. I really see the parawing as like a tool that is made to pack up. If you pack it up, that means you are going to be riding some swell, you're going to be riding some waves. And when it's flat, you don't have that. So if I'm gonna stay powered the entire time, I prefer the wing. Now, of course, I've been winging for longer, so that can explain why I prefer the wing on flat water. But I do feel like with the maneuvers, I can have a better flow and I can handle conditions a bit easier. Let's say if I have to pump to get up, that rigid structure, you can get more grunt out of it. You have more control in the maneuver, where the parawing is more of this kite, but with very less control in the maneuver. So it tends to fall. Now you can really we are starting to see some really awesome maneuvers even on flat water. So there is definitely potential for that. Personally, if it's flat, I'm always going to go with the wing. Even if I have bumps or waves, I'm not always going to choose the parawing. So I have some notes here just to stay on topic. So let's go over the differences. So first, in terms of the gear that you need, which is really good, is in terms of the bird and the foil, it's pretty much the same. I use the same bird and pretty much the same foil as I would use with a wing or with a parawing. This is the bird I use. It's a 50 liters mid-length. Sometimes if it's a bit lighter, I can use a bit bigger volume, but I'm still gonna stay with the mid-length. And foils, it will depend on what I'm trying to do, more carving, more speed, but it's pretty much essentially the same. So that's the really good thing, is if you come from wing foiling, most likely you have the gear you need, unless maybe you have a more traditional wing bird that's short and compact. For the parawing, I would say it's more ideal to have a mid-length. Now, I would also think the same thing for the wing. Now that with time we've had we've been able to experiment with shorter birds, longer birds. Now I think mid-length is the way to go for winging and the parawing. With the foil, maybe if you come from winging, when you learn the parawing, you might want to size up on your foil. But most likely you have a light wind foil, and so you can use that with the parawing at the beginning. Ultimately, you will be able to use the same gear. In terms of pricing, well, we are about the same. Parawings are not super cheap, even though they seem more simple. But in terms of pricing, we are about the same because wings have been around for longer, so you can find deals, and it pretty much matches the price of a parawing. So in terms of pricing, there isn't an advantage in going into winging or going to the parawing. It's going to be about the same. Let's talk about the difficulty, because is it more difficult than the wing? I think it's about similar in terms of difficulty, to learn. So when you come from winging, you're still going to go through a bit of a learning phase. Now, I would say for someone that has not done any foiling activity before, I definitely think the wing is going to be a bit easier to learn when you are brand new. So it's easier to handle your wing because it is rigid. You have better control over it. Where the parawing, sometimes can be hard to control because you need more finesse into how you pilot your parawing. But if you come from winging, you're still gonna have to go through a bit of a learning phase. It doesn't fully translate, yet if you are a brand new beginner, I would definitely say start with winging and go into the Parawing. But if you've been winging for a long time, sometimes it's a nice, refreshing, learning curve. You find maybe more motivation again to like go out there and really work on something where maybe you've been becoming complacent with wing foiling, you've done it for a long time, and now you really appreciate the challenge that the Parawing is bringing. That can definitely be something that happens with a lot of people. Let's talk about light wind. This is one area where I feel like the Parawing lacks a bit over the wing. I think with a wing you can definitely pump more effectively, you can get more grunt on the low end of your wing. So in light wind, I do think the wing is going to perform better. The other thing is in the maneuvers. What can be very frustrating with the Parawing, and I've really experienced that when you try to dock start with the Parawing, because let's say you have very minimal wind and you're going to dock start, so you kind of like skip the takeoff phase, which is going to allow you to ride in absolutely minimal wind. But that's when you realize in the maneuvers your Parawing is pretty difficult, because it's going to fall, it's going to get on you, it's going to get in your legs. You have really little control. Once you go downwind, there is no more wind and it's a bit of a mess, and maybe it doesn't relaunch quickly enough that you're going to stall and come down. Where with a wing, if I dock start or beach start with a wing and I'm out there very minimal wind, in the maneuvers I'm going to have a lot more control and I'm going to be able to stay up and ride for longer. In terms of going upwind, that's an area that we've been worried before with the Parawing, and honestly I can really say the double skin Paella from BIM goes upwind in my opinion better than what I'm able to go upwind with a wing. So now that is specific to the attribute of the double skin. A single skin, I would pretty much say it's comparable to a wing. You can go upwind as much as you can with a wing, so you don't really have an advantage with a wing. Now if you are a beginner and you come from winging, you get into the Parawing, most likely at the beginning you're not going to be able to go upwind as well with your Parawing, but the potential is equal, so there is not a winner in the upwind category. Let's talk about the range of wind that you can go with one size. Again, the Parawing is new, it's definitely improving. Right now I would say with one size you can probably cover a bigger wind range with a wing, but here is the thing, the Parawing is so compact and small, you could go out with two Parawings and now you pretty much cover the same, if not bigger of a range as you can with a wing. You just would have to swap, which is not as convenient as one size. But the Parawing is also new, so that is a bit of a gray area where I'm not sure there is a winner, because the Parawing is really improving to the point where we are starting to see similar range on the wing and on the Parawing. And I talked about it at the beginning, when I go on flat water I'm going to choose the wing, but to me where the Parawing shines and win by far is when it's about riding waves or when it's about downwinding and riding swell, riding bumps. Because being able to eliminate everything you have in your hands is just, you can't really compare it. With a wing you can ride waves, you can downwind, but you always have it in your hands. Especially when you downwind, you are going with the wind, that means your wing is going to be in front of you. Often, if you go back and forth, you're going to have to switch hands. It kind of like covers your field of vision on reading the bumps, so you don't see as well in front of you, where the Parawing really eliminates, and you can start small, you can just pack it up and just not even store it but not put it away. Or as you get better and you get longer rides, you really pack it up, put it behind you, and for miles you don't have to touch it, and you're only gonna need it if you fall and you have to take off again. So on the wave and downwind side of things, to me the clear winner is the Parawing, and I don't think there is much arguing about that. I've done riding waves and riding downwind with a wing. That is a thing of the past in my opinion with the Parawing. There's no reason to downwind with a wing. Let's talk about traveling, because here is something interesting. Here I have a 3/8 Parawing and here a 4. So that's about the same size in terms of, you know, covering wind range, let's say, but then, you know, this is the difference in terms of, you know, how it's going to be in your bag. So when you traveling with a few Parawings is a lot easier than traveling with a few wings. And personally, the other thing that I really like about the Parawings is you don't need a pump, which can be complicated. We know with a pump can take a lot of room, can be heavy if it's an electric pump. So when you travel, just taking your Parawings is very nice. That's personally how I travel now. I very rarely bring a wing. I just bring a Parawing, and I will, you know, I can do everything I would do with a wing pretty much with a Parawing, and it makes it a lot easier. So as you can see, the wing and the Parawing still have a place in my riding today. I'm not gonna quit winging, and I am Parawinging for sure. This is the most fun thing I'm doing. I absolutely love the Parawing also because it's new, and I do believe downwinding is the most fun activity that you can do. The Parawing also allows you to get into downwinding a bit easier. In a future video, we are going to compare the Parawing to downwind subfoiling because really downwinding has been blowing up with downwind subfoiling, but it's going to be an interesting comparison with the Parawing because I do think it's opening a lot of like opportunities for people. But this is how I use the wing and the Parawing in my riding. I would love to hear from you. What do you think? When do you wing? When do you Parawing? And why? It's really helpful to hear from everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.